Hey everyone, it's Drawn with D time. Getting this all set up. There we go. Okay. Let's share this on a couple of places. Okay, I think this is working. There we go. Okay. Need that. Share this. Sorry, it's going to take just a second to get it set up because I'm doing a couple of restreaming this from multiple sources. Sorry, it's going to take just a second to get it set up because I'm... Okay, here we go. Looks like we have somebody here. If you're in the room, feel free to say hello. I'm going to give a couple more minutes for folks to populate and see how that's working. So just bear with me just a second. And I'll, do a little bit of narration in the interim to kind of try to keep it exciting while I'm making sure everything's working. Okay, I think that it is all working. I don't think I need to have multiple windows open. I think all the comments will come through here normal. So hopefully some folks will stop in a few and we'll get started. I'm just going to let this catch up for just a couple minutes more before I get started. It's only 2 minutes after 8. So for anyone here who's here, welcome to the video for the week. Gonna be working as always in Clip Studio Pro or Paint. It's my favorite means to work. However, this week we're going to do a little something different. The last few weeks that I've been doing this, I've been doing my I've been live streaming new Finding D strips for my webcomic. Tonight, we're going to work on a pinup piece for Giant Girl Adventures, which is the comic that I work on with Sabrina Pandora. It's it's a comic she's been creating for years. I joined about a year and a half ago, about 76 pages in, having a lot of fun. It is a superhero adventure comic that is really, really fun. And I've been having a blast drawing this, and the storyline so far up until now has been that I've been drawing it has been taking place in this like Dungeons and Dragons style fantasy world where the main character, Ronnie, aka Giant Girl, has been kind of trapped in this fantasy reality, fighting all kinds of cool fantasy creatures and stuff like that. It's been a lot of fun to draw. However, it's also, the book in and of itself is kind of a superhero comic book. And she has a sidekick named Stanley, aka 64-bit, and he's a really fun character design with this really interesting power set that I've been dying to actually get to draw, where he's got this power to where any video game he's ever played, he can become a character from that game, which will enable me to have a lot of fun designing like mostly versions of similar characters from existing video games, stuff like that for fun. But I've been dying to try to get into visualizing this particular power set because it just sounds like so much fun to draw. And I've been drawing this for over 75 pages now, and he's not been on any of them because she's been in this other dimension. So now she's back to regular Earth, and I'm drawing him, but he's just kind of a background character right now. He's like they're just talking. So no super heroics to be had. So this is kind of a way to kind of cut my teeth on drawing the character, is this little pinup that we're doing for the Patreon. And so that is what I'm going to be doing. Ta-da! So I've already set up the, I always feel like I'm doing one of those chef videos where it's like, we already have a souffle that's been prepared in the oven. So we've got the, hey Gray, we've got the pencils. I did these the other day, and getting started with 64-bit transforming from a particularly familiar large gorilla that is not in any way to be particularly construed as a product of any particular corporation. So, and what I've really been excited to do is draw things like the different styles of the characters from the different like video game type stuff, but also the visual transformation, which I'm patterning after some stuff from the movie Tron Legacy, where the character would be derezzed and kind of turn into little voxels, little 3D pixels, and it was really cool visual. And so I'm going to try to see if I can elaborate on that. And what's this? Ooh, comments are happening in 2 places. Let's see. Fantasy Epic at current. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to have to put this in multiple windows so that I can see multiple comments, because this is streaming in 2 different places and I need to be able to see all the comments as they happen. So just bear with me just 1 second. Got to kind of reduce my windows here, get everything set up properly so that I can see how it's all working. So let's see. Okay, so I should be able to see both sets of comments from both streams now. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Took me just a second to figure out how to make that work. Hi, Vicky. Thank you. Welcome to the video. I'm getting ready to get started. Working on this new piece for the book that I draw. I work on with my creative partner Sabrina Pandora, Giant Girl Adventures, and the sidekick character of 64-bit, aka Stanley Hope, who has the power to transform into any video game character that he's ever played the game of, which is a pretty cool power set and something I've been dying to get to the visualization of drawing. As always, I'm working in Clip Studio Paint. I love this software. I will gush about it as often as is humanly possible because it's what I do. And you know, I'm just a big proponent of it. The brush I use here is called "And the Power." Yes, Lando Calrissian. And it's got this wonderful thin, thick kind of point to it that I just absolutely adore. As always, I like to start with whatever's closest to the camera. In this case, it's his hand. So let me get started with the hand. This will be a different style of video than the kinds oh, wait. I wasn't doing a time lapse. I need to do a time lapse. Record time lapse. Ha. So if anyone has any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I can see the comments as they pop up in the side of the streams. And I will do my best to answer them. And since Giant Girl is a co-production between myself and Sabrina, Sabrina's watching and she can answer questions as well in the text. Ha ha ha. Like I said, I've been really looking forward to actually drawing this character in an action scenario using his powers, because she's been in this fantasy world for so long, the entirety of the time I've worked on the book, that I've never gotten to draw the application of his powers, and I've been visualizing how I've wanted to do it for a long time. I'm really excited about getting to that. And so since we do pinups for the Patreon, and all of this, well, that's okay. It'll save me some it'll save me some time. I got to figure out how to be able to do this to where you can actually be audible on here too. Short of me just putting you on speakerphone, which I don't think the audio would be great for. Yeah, we've been working on this together for about a year and a half now. And you can read the entirety of the series at giantgirladventures.com. So we are, and there's the link and the Patreon. Awesome. Again, I always try to draw whatever's going to be closest to the camera first. Stanley's got hairy arms. It's going to be a very different approach to the way I do this than the normal videos I do, which is for Finding D, which is a completely different art style. So this should be a lot of fun for anyone who's been tuning into those and wants to see something a little different. I don't know if I mentioned this to you or not, but remember when the witch told Ronnie he would not have his powers on Earth? Totally lied. She just didn't want Stanley there helping her out. I think I remember you told me that, yes, because that's exactly the kind of thing that the witch of the book would do. Get a bigger brush for this, for his hair. Much more delicate line style, a lot more rendered, a lot more detailed and realistic, obviously, than what I do for Finding D. But hopefully it will be just as much fun to watch me draw it. Be pointy there. I'm trying not to hum that song, and I want to get hit with a copyright claim, but I was just listening to it. If you hear random clicking, that's what I'm doing. Let's see. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. No, no, no. Oh, that eyebrow looks janky. See. So it looks like we got a couple of folks watching here in the stream. So if anyone has any questions or just wants to say hello, do not hesitate to ask or just pop in and say hi. Gives me something to talk about. Not the greatest self-starter at the conversation. So, okay. So, hey Lou, this is from the book Sabrina and I Do Giant Girl Adventures. It's kind of a superhero fantasy adventure epic. And this character is called 64-bit, aka Stanley Hope, and he's the main character's sidekick, Giant Girl, aka Ronnie Kane. And he has this his powers are that he can transform himself into any video game character he's ever played. And so I kind of had free reign to do the piece for this. Even though I've been drawing the book now for over 75 pages, he's not yet appeared in it because he hasn't been involved in the adventure that Ronnie's been in this other fantasy dimension, like a D&D universe. He's not been there, so he's only just now returning to the comic, and I've never gotten to draw him in action or using his powers. And so we were doing this pinup for our Patreon, and that was like, oh, let's do a little live stream, and I get to experiment with how I want to visualize his abilities because it's just a cool sounding power. And it was something I don't feel like the original artist on the book took as much advantage of the cool stuff that he could do with that ability. And so I really have been dying to kind of, you know, stick my toes into the proverbial water with the character. And I figured it'd be neat to do something a little different for a change for this week's video. Since I've been doing the Finding D strips for a while, and I want to get monotonous, so I figure I'll break it up every now and again by doing some Giant Girl stuff. And since we can't really show pages in process because that's huge spoilers, thank you, Dan. You know, anytime I draw a page for a Giant Girl, everything on it is a spoiler of what's going to be coming up in the next, 6 to 7 weeks. So the pinups, is the existing character. It's not a spoiler. It's just Stanley. Figure that would be a good way to do the occasional live stream of working on Giant Girl since I got to do pinups for the Patreon every now and again. Yeah, we've been working together for since what? When did it premiere? Was it September 2020, I think? So yeah, just a little over a year now, officially. I mean, I started drawing it, I think, in June or July of that year. But it didn't premiere the actual pages until September. And it's just been just a ton of fun. The scripts are really, really sharp and really interesting. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that I get to draw that's just really, really wild. A lot of great characterization and all the stuff that I love to draw is in here. And Sabrina and I, whenever we're working on pages, we'll be on Discord together. So it's like Sabrina's over my shoulder, even though we live in different states, working on this book together. And it's just been a blast. And we're perpetually excited every time there's, a new page. We're just super excited to get to show it to people. And it's been just so much fun to work on. And I've been super excited to getting to finally draw Stanley here. During the fantasy adventure, Ronnie's kind of de facto sidekick has been a character called Lexi the Pixie, and oh my God, we love her. We love her so much. And she's been a fan favorite for a while now. And I would take any opportunity to draw her in the book. So that's been a ton of fun. But it's also nice to finally get to draw Stanley because he's an interesting character and he's got a really cool visual concept to him. So, well, thank you. I am glad you do. Now, one of the things here about this shot that's going to be interesting and a little difficult that I've never drawn before is that, as you can see on the shoulder here, he's kind of dissolving into pixels, or technically reverse because he was dissolving when he was the giant barrel throwing ape that is in no way connected to any apes that throw barrels you might be thinking of. But he's transforming from that back to normal. And the idea is that the one form he's in breaks down into three-dimensional pixels, which I believe are called voxels for technical stuff. So I've got to try to draw that and have it make sense visually. And rather than do it as some kind of like special effect in post, I'm going to try to draw it directly so that I'll have real control over the shapes. Mule, yes. However, I think I'm going to do something here to sort of cheat. I'm going to give myself a grid because grids are our friends. Let's see, I'm making myself light pink. So observe the wacky fun as I create a grid. Selected layers. Yes. I want to make sure that the pixels are not perfectly super mechanically precise, but precise enough to um, sell as what they're supposed to be. So, best way I can think to do that is to set up a grid. Probably should have done this in advance, would have been quicker and easier, but this is my first live stream of the Giant Girl piece, so. Well, that's what people like me are for. Merge selected layers, duplicate again. Let's turn this. Will not need near this much actual gridding. However, that's okay. It's definitely much more complicated than the Finding D stuff. Warp the perspective on my grid here. Yep, that looks about right. No, not quite as complex as the Well Keeper. It is in different ways. Obviously, the Well Keeper on average had about 4 to 5 panels a page, so that's a way different kind of intensity to work with there. Backgrounds have gotten are a little different, whereas in the Well Keeper it was a lot more abstract for a lot of it. So very different beasts. The rendering is very much more constrained for a giant girl, which is kind of nice. So now that I have this grid, I can start, putting in some of the background, like the little voxels that are popping off, and I don't have to make them super precise, but I can still make sure that they actually conform to the shape that Stanley's got going here. No, you cannot. But I think also for the weekly webcomic format, that's definitely in our advantage that the pages are, fairly complex in terms of their what's happening on every page, rather than a 4 or 5 panel page every week. That would be mind numbing for people to have to follow and wait for that next panel to appear. And that way people aren't going nuts waiting for very minimalist pages. Yeah, they don't have to be perfect, and they're not all mechanically the same size. They're just kind of coming together here and popping off of him as he kind of reforms from the pixel shapes. So that's the idea I'm going for. And hopefully it will look cool when it's all finished. And, as we work on pages and stuff like that, I'll, figure out how to streamline parts of the process. It'll probably get a little quicker. Or I'll draw a bunch of these in different angles and drop them in Photoshop after the fact, something like that. I'll figure out some way to make sure that it gets, a little bit easier over time. Cute. He's ham man. I'll try a couple of different ways as I'm going, and we'll see what looks better, and if I need to, I'll come back in and erase the transparency ones. But I'll do the rest untransparent, and we'll see what looks better. Things that don't show up when I'm drawing Finding D. Lots of buttons. Let's see. Got a couple folks here. If anyone else has any comments or wants to chime in, please do not hesitate. That helps me have more stuff to talk about. So that makes the entire video way more interesting. Trust me. Sabrina cannot do it. She doesn't have the power. Little chest hair here. Very much so. Very much bear bait. Hopefully, everyone has had a good day and a good week so far, she said, striking up conversation. Yep, we were on a brief hiatus for the holidays, but we came back with new pages last Friday, and there will be a brand new one this Friday. If you're a member of Patreon, new pages of Giant Girl launch every Thursday. So that is exciting for folks. They get to see the pages early. They get to read scripts about a week early for the pages. They get all kinds of spoilers, tons of behind the scenes art. So each page we do, a ton of screen grabs as I'm working and I send them along to Sabrina. We save all of those and then we just kind of put those together on the Patreon and go to town. So we got a ton of stuff on the Patreon. All kinds of fun stuff. So anyone who is interested in that, the link is in the comments here. Or if you just go to giantgirladventures.com, the link to the Patreon is there as well. Now there's a ton of stuff there. And yeah, so yeah, new pages will be, there's a new page up on Friday and really excited about that, or kind of excited about every page as they come out. Because every time we finish a new page, we're just like, we can't wait to show this off. Um, we put together a really nice buffer about what I think we're about 7 weeks ahead in the buffer for strips. So it is really nice. I was also able to build up a 7 week buffer for finding these strips. So we are very, very nicely set so that, we're not going to be running behind on anything. And it should be a lot of fun. And we hope you continue to enjoy it. Ah, looks like Heidi is watching. Hello, Heidi. Was downstairs. Overly complicated shoe design. Hey, Heidi, how you doing downstairs? Hope all is well. Doing our little live drawing here, getting some Giant Girl work done. For anyone who's new, yeah, we decided that it would be kind of cool today as a little bit of a break from the Finding D strips that I've been drawing the last few weeks for the live stream. Thank you. That we would work on this pinup, since the pinups are a great opportunity for me to show off what we're working on Giant Girl without actually giving away any spoilers, which is a huge deal because we don't want to give, if I'm working on a page here and you guys get to see the entirety of a brand new page, 6, 7 weeks ahead, I don't want to give all that stuff away. Oh, awesome. Getting stuff priced up for your store? you can spoil about your shop. Oh, yep, just getting a little work done here on Stanley, which is a lot of fun to draw. So oh, save real quick. Ooh, label makers. I feel like I should hear more clicking and clacking. Heidi does have a large selection of witchy books, crystal balls, all kinds of fun stuff. It's at the Cranberry Mall here in Oil City at the Venango County Co-op. Lots of really cool stuff, Whistlefish Creations. If you're in the area, be sure to check it out on the days that they are open, I believe Wednesday through Sunday. Thank you, thank you. Little meat cube's got some hair on it. One thing I do with the arm hair is I will take a white brush and actually kind of cut into the larger section of the arm, makes the hair look a bit more dimensional and doesn't look quite as much as it's just, I don't want it to look flat on the arm. So I go in, hit it with a little bit of the white, helps it pop off of the contour lines for the other parts of him and his body. Which is a lot easier to do digitally than it was when I had to do Officer Winston's arm hair in the Well Keeper, where I'd use gel pens. That was time consuming. Very, very time consuming. Oh, he's got a weird forehead there. Let me fix that. It's stung by bees. Like a Burton Guster forehead. Thank you. A little bit more rendering on him here because the cartoonier gorilla form will not have the same kind of line rendering that Stanley's going to have here. So that's going to be how I'm going to kind of differentiate the different styles. I'm going to give him a darker t-shirt here so it kind of pops out. I might put a graphic on that in post, but we'll figure that out later. Little action here where I can just fill stuff in with a one button push, which makes things so much easier. Hey, if anyone watching is, let's see how many folks we got. I got a couple of folks here. If anyone here has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Any question will do. It can be about the page. It can be about finding D. It can be about the weather. Cold again. It's nice. I'll answer any question that I can think up an answer to, real or not. It's been pretty cold the last couple days, but I will still take the cold with the sun that we've had at the same time rather than that slightly warm but dreary, drippy weather that we had the last couple of days and last weekend. That was just miserable. I mean, it was nice out in terms of temperature, but bleh. You know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane? Heidi is indeed pricing goods downstairs, yes. She's got a bunch of new product that's going to be going up in her shop, and she got a pricing gun over the weekend and going to town. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. Yes, she's married to the Muffin Man. Just doing a little textural feathering here for his pants. There's a little bit of shadow and some texture here. Is Poe up all in your face down there? Poe, are you up in Mommy's face up down there? Popo! Where's the Popo? Popo! Popo! See if I can give the Mommy Prime a respite for a moment. Popo! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! It's a puppy! Puppy break. Oh my goodness, it's a puppy. Look at the puppy. Look at your special eyes. Up, and he's gone. Cameo by Poe. He is at maximum floof right now. It's his winter coat. Floof, 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 floof. Some of these lines got a little too thin for my tastes. There we go. We got the normal human part of Stanley. Now to get some more pixely goodness for the transition. Yes. The amazing Ham Man. Ham Man is not allowed in kosher neighborhoods. These cubes look flimsy, so I'm going to hit them with a bit of a stronger outline. We don't talk about Bruno. No, no, no. Silencio, Bruno. Disney did not like Brunos this year. Somebody named Bruno hurt somebody at Disney. Okay, now I'm going to start onto our ape here, which I purposefully made the hand and the foot kind of similar. Now you work with a slightly bigger brush than I did for regular Stanley because I'm going to do this in a much more cartoony style. Let's save real quick. Got that song stuck in my head now. Don't think about what's under the fur. Much like Kong, there's nothing happening under the fur. So if there's anyone watching who's got any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. Let me give you guys a zoom out a little bit so you can see our nondescript cartoon barrel throwing ape that in no way is in any relation to any characters that are products of any major corporations. Transforming back into Stanley. A little bit of Giant Girl Adventure fun here as we work on a brand new pinup for the Patreon. she said, recapping the earlier information for anyone new. No worries. Hopefully, the visual of him kind of dissolving from the cubes on one side and reforming on the other side is playing well. We understand those crises. We had to avert one of those ourselves on our way home tonight. Well, thankfully, these videos are all about an hour on average, so and I kind of love that the nondescript ape in question had very prominent nipples, even in the original appearances. So the nipples remain. Seriously, go back and look at the sprites for that particular game. That's name I will not mention. Very large, prominent, pixely nipples. Like I said, I'm going with a much broader, kind of chunkier line style here for cartoon ape. Like basically much more actually cartoony, so as to really distinguish the art style from regular Stanley. And I'm hoping that since our comic is actually a black and white comic with some occasional spot colors, drawing the video games that Stanley turns into in a kind of an exaggerated and cartoony style will be a good way to have it kind of have those characters stand out. And obviously, unless the character is a modern, high rendered thing, and then it'd be a matter, I think, of how we render the shadowing might be like smoother. But we'll have to figure that out on kind of a case by case basis as we're working and kind of just see what works. Try to keep a nice smooth line here, which I could never have pulled off without some of these tools in Clip Studio Paint. Ah, these brushes are just so luscious to work with. You get these really wonderful thick, thin lines that I just adore. Again, it's like it's something I talk about on a lot of the videos that I do, especially the Finding D ones that I've been doing the last few weeks. Can I draw something, like this traditionally on paper, on board, all that? Yes, yes, I could. Would I want to have to try to do this with a brush traditionally? It would take me so impossibly long. A video like this, this piece is close to done. Um, or at least this level. I'm gonna have to still hit it with tones and all that fun jazz. Um, and the shadowing and all that, which it'll be not on video because it's a different software entirely, and you'd lose the window. I don't know how to transfer. But something like this with, brush on paper would literally take me hours to get the nice clean lines like this. I'd have to work so much slower. It's called Clip Studio Paint. It's actually a really, really reasonably priced software. I adore it. I got it on sale about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, give or take. It's about $50. It was a Christmas sale. And unlike, say, Adobe Photoshop, it's not a subscription. I just own this software. And the updates are free. Hi, Heidi. Obviously not that night for you, because I mean, I'll see you when I'm done. Yeah, and I was hesitant for a while because I was like, "Nah, I've got Photoshop and it works great, and I don't need that, and there's nothing that can do that this." Oh my god, I was so wrong. Line break here. Very, very wrong. I am an absolute convert to Clip Studio Paint. A little bit thinner line here for the barrel. I'm not going to go crazy on the wood grain or anything again because cartoon. Yeah, okay, maybe a little wood grain. But again, just a couple little lines here to indicate wood grain. Let's see where we're at. Okay, we're getting there. Ooh, deleted scenes. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. And drop the opacity here because I'm doing this like ring of energy for the transformation, and it's going to cut behind him, which I want to have a certain degree of consistency. Yeah, I'll do. I'm gonna probably do a video game style background in Photoshop a little later and drop that in kind of gray tones. Not sure about this effect. I may play around with something else. This feels like a little distracting, but I'm not sure. We'll see. But for the sake of the video, I shall complete it. Yeah, I'm not sure about the ring. Hello? Hello? Sabrina? Yes, it's a little behind in live. True. Oh, okay, cool. Sabrina likes the ring. Yep. Hold on a second. Let me see if this works. There, now you're on speakerphone. I don't know if anyone can hear it, but I can, and I will translate.
Well, there you go.
Sabrina's on the phone. We're going over some of the ideas.
Because sometimes it's much more effective to just call her as I'm looking at it and go, hey, I have some input. Let's discuss.
This is true. This is very, very true.
Yeah, it's definitely a big component of our creative process. I like the ring a lot. The pixels are going to be a pain in the ass for you to draw, but for like at a distance, you know, if he's small in the background, changing back or something, that's going to make it stand out, and I think it goes nicely with the sound effect.
Okay, cool.
Because you've still got the sound effect. Don't forget.
Yep. Have the sound effect files. Oh, excellent. You can be heard. Lou has confirmed you are audible.
Oh, right on. Yeah, now you get to hear my scratchy whiskey and cigarettes voice. Woohoo! But yeah, I dig it. And I have the idea, maybe, you know, just kind of gray tone the background to make it evocative, but and then put a little bit of brick texture in the foreground to make it look like somebody had painted the old video game background on a wall decades ago and it's faded.
Oh, that would be cool, yeah.
This way, it adds an element of the real world while still paying homage to the video game world, but we're not implying in the pinup that he is coming out of a video game.
True.
Because he I don't think he has that power. It's an interesting thought. Can he enter a video game? That is kind of cool. I sense an issue.
I do as well.
I like this. I've never even considered before, but yeah.
We're conceiving whole new comics here.
Well, you know, he doesn't have any arch enemies because everybody hates Giant Girl. So he gets to hang around her, and he's beloved by everyone, and everyone, you know, just you know, wants to murderize her. So with that situation changing, he could gain an arch enemy.
This is true.
And we can have him pulled into a video game.
I like this idea. This would be fun.
Yeah, that's an interesting story.
Okay, so here we are. This is the rest of it is all going to be done in Photoshop. This is the actual line art stage, folks. So
that looks great.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, you went just cartoony enough with the monkey, so that he is again, cartoonish and recognizable as what he's supposed to be, whereas Stanley is realistically, you know, you want a little extra realistic with him.
Yep.
Just to push that boundary and the difference, but it works, and the cubes are interesting. I think you may want to grayscale them a little bit, but you were probably already going to do that.
Yep.
And feel free to make the sound effect as obtrusive or unobtrusive as you like, and grayscale it too, if you will.
I will.
Because I think it's a horrible color. I haven't seen it in a while. It's been a long time since I've used that sound effect.
Yeah, it has been. I will check it out in the because I know we got the files for it. Let me export this time lapse so I don't forget that and cut out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Very unobtrusive place to put your autograph too.
Yep, that's going to be right underneath the border line in the finished piece.
Wendy just started singing Borderline in the back.
If it's any consolation, I was doing it in my head.
It's like I'm going to lose my mind. We're so good.
Okay, folks, so that is the end of the video. Thank you for being here, Lou. And we're gonna end the video here, and hope everyone enjoyed it. And I'll be back again next week. So everyone have a great night. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you later. Bye. Say bye, Sabrina.
Bye.